desk.
All right, we got the award-winning podcast show here tonight. It's award-winning as always because we give ourselves the award. And I don't have, well, I've got confetti. You guys can hear me, right?
I can hear you, Joe.
There's always something going on here. All right, who we got out there tonight? We got Brian Massey, who cannot see what's going on, but I salute you're on camera. Don't worry about it, okay?
Okay,
we can
great.
See you. We can see you. You can run, but you can't hide. We also
I'm sorry you can do that.
All right, we got a special guest tonight. It's Jennifer Gross, Ohio State Rep, District 45. And we'll give you some confetti. You got the confetti flowing. It's good to see you there tonight.
Yay!
Welcome.
All right, tonight we're going to be talking what's happening in District 45, but also the property taxes. We're going to go through that because there's a lot of problems with the property taxes. But have no fear, because this guy is coming to the rescue with his own tax group. You know who that is? It's not Pocahontas either. Somebody said it was Pocahontas. That's not. That's our governor in there.
Elizabeth Warren.
He's coming here to save the day and everything. All right, couple of things. First of all, tonight, like I said, we got Jennifer Gross with us here, District 45, Brian Massey. We may have a few surprise guests stopping in too. We'll see. And then we want to talk about the property tax. The issue with the property taxes, and I'm going to give you some numbers in Cuyahoga County that you're going to flip out over because they are devastating, absolutely gut-wrenching numbers on property taxes. So I'm going to give you those numbers here in just a minute. But first, I've got to remind everybody to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, you've got to subscribe. We've got to build up that algorithm, and that's the way we do it. We don't care about anything else. Just subscribe, okay? Really want to see that. All right, let's get to our guest here, Jennifer Gross, District 45. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm always better when I'm with you guys.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you here tonight. You're in Cincinnati, and that what is Cincinnati known for, would you say?
Well, I'm actually in the suburbs. I'm in Westchester, so a lot of people from your guys' direction think I'm in Cincinnati, but I'm equidistant from Dayton and Cincinnati.
Oh, it's kind of wedged in between.
In Cincinnati, we're known for the BB Riverboat. We're known for the Reds, the Bengals, our bridges, CVG, which stands for Covington, actually. People think is the Cincinnati airport, but it's actually in Kentucky.
That's the neat thing about Cincinnati. The neat thing is that all you got to do is hop on that bridge and you're right into Kentucky.
That's right.
But it looks just like Cincinnati. It's really well built up and everything right there. So that's like the greater Cincinnati area. It's really cool.
Right.
Neat.
That's right. Southwest Ohio is very influential. Southwest Ohio, all of our counties down here, we're growing. I believe we're the fastest growing region in the state. So we really, yeah.
We're up here in Cleveland, and we are the fastest growing state of people leaving. Let's put it that way.
And
Well,
They're
Joe,
going to Cincinnati. That's what's happening. They're going.
Property taxes aren't going to help that, are they?
No, they're not. Okay, let's. I want to mention something here about the property taxes. This is kind of funny here. This is from WCMH in Columbus, off their website, and it's called Columbus High School's Bathroom Policies Spark District-Wide Discussion. It says that the kids apparently have to find whoever has keys and then wait for that person to go unlock the restroom for them. They have brand new restroom policies now. You got to find somebody who has a key so they can go open the door for you. And I can see that if you're in kindergarten or something. Could you imagine if you're in high school? You got to have somebody hold your hand, go open the door. A senior at Briggs High School in Columbus said that the school has implemented an escort policy to the restrooms. The policy requires classroom teachers to call a security guard or get another teacher to escort the student who has to use the commode. What's going on here?
Do they say why? I mean, they don't want any more smoking in the boys' room.
That's a big part of it. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Apparently, cruising through the article and everything, apparently, now remember, it wasn't that long ago that boys were allowed in girls' rooms and vice versa. You could have the women going to using the commode and the boys in there and the whole thing. It was complete chaos in the public school. Complete chaos.
Yeah, don't forget the cat boxes.
The what?
Cat boxes. Remember when
The litter
kids
boxes.
are going through that furries thing and they identify as cats, so they were allowing them to have a cat box in the bathroom.
I got you. Yeah, if you identify as a cat, you can use that. And if you identify as a dog, you had to go out and use the fire hydrant. That's what I was told.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happened is, okay, you had all that fiasco. Trump got in, thank God. So they said, you got to put an end to that or you're not getting any federal funding. They put an end to it. But now everybody is smoking in the Johns. Now, I can't imagine them doing it in elementary school, but I'm sure in high school. All right, so they open up the door to the restroom, and it's just this big pillar of smoke comes out at them. So now they got to escort everybody to the restroom, unlock it, wait for them, and then they got to lock the door and escort them back to school class. All right.
Wow.
Kind of crazy.
Well, I don't know, guys. I mean, you guys were all about the same age. I mean, people smoked when we were in high school. We called them, what do we call them? We called them potheads. They were the kids. I mean, like, what did we do? I mean, kids smoked. There wasn't, you weren't allowed to smoke.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right,
we have a
right.
smoking
We
section?
had what we call discipline, though. I mean, if you broke the rules, you were, I don't know, day off school or week off school. You're suspended.
Yeah.
But now I don't know if they do that anymore.
That's a good
Yeah, I don't
point.
know. But what was it called? When I was in high school, and then we got to move on to the property tax stuff, but there was jocks and there were heads. Does that sound like familiar to you?
Yeah.
That was the big thing. So it was like you were one or the other or you were nothing. And I was obviously a nothing because I couldn't play sports and I wasn't going to get involved in smoking. But you would open
nothing,
there was
Joe.
a lot of smoking. What's that? There was a lot of smoking going on.
Nothing. I did everything. I was band, so I was a nerd. I lettered in varsity tennis, so I was a jock.
There you go.
I was in the service club, which was the key club, and I was in the student council. No shock there, I guess.
No, that's great. You did it all. And then you went into the Air Force, and then you became a state rep. You've done everything. And I'm still trying to get my career going, and I'm ready to retire. What?
Nah, you're never going to stop. You got to keep going. We need grassroots podcasters like you to keep growing and keep going.
You got it. All right. So when we look at the property taxes, I want to, before I give out some of the statistics that are out there in Cuyahoga County and the rest of the state that are just going to like explode your mind, I want to ask you a question here if we could. I was asking if you had a constituent or somebody like that who's like suffering horribly due to the property taxes, a story maybe you could tell us.
I do. I actually have a couple of examples, but there are several, but the one that comes to my mind right immediately, I have a 97-year-old woman in Westchester. Now, we are the largest township in the state at 66,900 people. So she lives in a very affluent community and in general. And she's 97, lives in her own home, has paid taxes and lived in our community all these years. And she called my office crying and saying, I can't afford to stay in my home. And what are you going to do for me? Now, one of the provisions that were in the budget was the opportunity for each county commissioner to double the homestead exemption. I don't know yet what her income is, so I'm hoping that we can do something like that. But if she earns just, $1,000 too much, when our auditor is projecting a 17% property tax increase estimation for January, my county will be the first in the group of, annual reviews. And she said she can't afford to stay in her home.
That's right, because you got the reappraisals coming.
That's right.
They haven't happened yet. They're coming, but she's suffering. And just wait till she gets that new tax bill.
That's right. And And ironically and interestingly, we've also had some gas bills that have gone up. Also, I have another neighbor. She's 76. She's also a widow. Both of these women are widows, living on Social Security. The one, her husband was a 100% disabled veteran, so she does have another source of income. But this lady, her gas bill went up more than $150 this month. And so you add a rise in gas prices and electrical or utility costs, and then you add property tax on top of that. I think it's really irresponsible, especially for me as a legislator, to say, well, you need to mortgage your paid off home so that you can pay your property tax. That's unconscionable. And my heart is just broken for her. And I'll be meeting with the 97-year-old in the coming weeks ahead.
That's insane. And I'm going to put Brian on here for a second. Brian, wasn't there somebody who said that if you can't afford your property tax bill, sell your house and get the proceeds, go live in an apartment? That was one of your state reps.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that's the senator that said that made a veiled threat. If I continue to say that, he's going to sue me for defamation. But he said it. He said it to me and my wife probably about a year ago now, that if seniors cannot afford their property taxes, now is the time for them to sell their home and move into an apartment, and that will solve the housing shortage problem that we have in the state of Ohio.
Yeah,
well,
that's all it
Brian.
takes. That's all it takes, man. Just sell your
I
house.
beg your pardon?
And Brian, that's very similar to, why don't you get a reverse mortgage? Get a reverse mortgage so that you can pay your property tax. What? So you've paid off your home. You have no mortgage. You have no debt on your home except your property tax. My property tax is roughly $6,000, just about. And so you can't afford it. It's almost $500 a month just in property tax, right? At $6,000, right? So it's just under that.
100%. I've been, preaching for many years now about the housing affordability threshold, and I kept warning people that that's not something that I made up. I learned, quite a while ago that your mortgage, three factors: your mortgage, your utilities, and your property taxes. Of all three of those, and when added up, equal 30% of your annual income. That house is deemed unaffordable for you. That doesn't mean you have to move. That just means you're going to have less money for your needs and wants. But with the cost of food, the cost of insurance, it's becoming very, very, very difficult. And people are they're just not understanding. And the legislators, I will exclude Jennifer in this statement, but legislators are just not getting it. And they
look toned down.
I mean, we've got David Thomas and a couple others that are trying to do something, but it's not going to be fast enough. Unfortunately, some of the people, in that are now going to get the revaluations, it's going to be very difficult for them.
No, it's going to be
right.
horrible. Hey, let me just encourage everybody to use the chat if you would. That also helps with the algorithm. So please chat away, and we'll try to put as many as we can up on the screen. But really encourage you to please chat and please subscribe. But here we got one from Sandy Llewellyn, who says that her monthly payment for property tax is $625, and they just experienced a 20% increase this year. So there you go, $625. Like you said, that's over $500 a month that they're paying. She has to pay over $500 a month. And you know what? That's $3,000. Okay, every 6 months you're getting a bill for $3,000 or $3,200 or something like that. Well, think about that. You got to put that extra money aside, and every 6 months you got to shell out $3,200. That's not easy for a lot of people. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So you can't come up with another. You own the house, and you can't come up with another $3,200 every 6 months just so that you can pay the government, so that the government can live on Easy Street. That's the way it sounds.
And Joe, I mean, if you're 50, 60, you could get another job. What do I say to a 76-year-old who walks with a cane and a 97-year-old widow who still lives alone? What?
Yeah, what do you say to them?
Options?
Yeah, what do you say? What do you say to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got major problems here. I want to just give out some of the numbers here because I was saying that we're going to look at some of the numbers here in Cuyahoga County. So this is from WCTU Channel 13, Cleveland Public News. Now, the interesting thing is this article is from July 16th. So it's about a month ago. And it says that over 41,000 homeowners in Cuyahoga County are delinquent. But here's the worst part. Their next property tax. So this is July 16th. And the reason that's important is you got 41,000 people in Cuyahoga County right now delinquent on their properties, taxes, bill. And in 2 days later, after this July 16th, they're going to be getting their next bill. And that's just they're going to be underwater at that point. There's going to be a lot of penalties and everything. They're going to be underwater at that point.
That's right.
Now, this county budget director, this Walter guy, and I can't pronounce his last name. He's got too many letters. He's got too many vowels in his name. But the budget director is named Walter, and he says, I've never seen delinquency at these levels. And the surge in tax delinquencies follows a recent countywide property reappraisal that the home values have gone up on average 32%. Now, that's on average. So there's a lot of people that are above that. Half the people went higher than 32%.
Yeah, and there's the other factor that people don't understand is about the 20 mil floor. Depending on your school district, and as I understand it, at least 50% of the 600 plus school districts are at the 20 mil floor. So when you're at the 20 mil floor, what that means is that the outside millage is treated like inside millage. So a 10% increase in the value of your property will be a 10% increase in your school taxes without a vote. You don't get to vote.
So
it happens automatically.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with joint vocational services. The legislators, when they passed the law for joint vocational schools, they gave them a maximum of 2.5 mils, but they said it's not subject to House Bill 920. Therefore, that outside millage, again, is treated like inside millage. And I think that's a deception because the inside millage should be a maximum of 10 mils or 1%. But they got around that by the way they wrote the legislation.
Of course they got around it. I'm going to put this up here real quick. This is the AXOHtax.website, Ax Ohio Tax website. I know you can't see it, Brian, but it's up right now. And on the front page here, you got a bunch of signing locations.
Right.
And I'm just scamming through all 88 counties.
Right. We have some locations that are temporary and some that are permanent. It's amazing that a lot of the businesses are stepping up to say they're going to help the people by getting the signatures. So
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point because if you have a business or something, we could start publicizing it, and you can start publicizing it on your website and on this website and just letting people know they can go there and sign, and that's going to be crucial to getting past the finish line.
We also have our Facebook group page. It's the Committee to Abolish Ohio Property Taxes, and we started out with just a couple hundred people. Now, I mean, we're well over 2,000-3,000, something like that now, and it's adding people all the time. So that is another source where people can communicate with each other and ask us questions, and we try to be as prompt as we possibly can, but we're running as fast as we can. Yes, Jennifer.
Brian, was there another organization that people confuse with yours? So
yes,
let's make sure we know your organization. I don't know if you guys are partners.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Jennifer. There was an organization called Citizens for Property Tax Reform. It was started by Keith Davies and Beth Blackmar, and Beth did a fine job of organizing the circulators and signing locations, and she opted on her own to stop collecting signatures. The committee had asked them not to speak on behalf of the committee because you can only have one voice in this movement. It was confusing people when they said, well, what's this committee to reform? I thought we were abolishing. So there was a conflicting messaging that was going out to the public. So Beth Blackmar opted to back out, and the committee, has been, let's say, more aggressive in getting the message out. I've been going on radio programs, TV programs. A week or so ago, I went down to the state capitol in the basement there where they have the radio and TV program. I was interviewed by Karen Kessler, I believe it was. So we're trying to get the single message out, and we're all about just collecting signatures right now. It's quite a heavy lift, and there's a big debate whether or not we're going to put it on the May ballot or November ballot, and we've had conflicting signals. Everybody says it's going to be on the November, some say May, and so we said it's a moot point at this and until we get the signatures. We'll decide after we get the signatures, then we can decide where we're going to put it on. We haven't heard anything from the state Secretary of State's. Although Alex Pavlov has been kind and has reached out to me. A lot of the statements I get are, well, we can't give you any legal advice. I'm just trying to figure out, can we put it on the May ballot? And nobody will say it one way or the other.
Well, you can't give any legal advice. That's not legal advice. That's just help us out a little bit here.
No, they haven't even decided when the May election is going to be.
In addition to county property taxes, we also live in a township that taxes income via regional income tax for school funding. So they're getting whammied from every direction. And we got to remember, property taxes is one thing, but we've also got the RETA tax on top of that, which is a killer.
It's true. It's true. I have a township that also taxes income. So I had somebody say to me, well, they can just tax people's income. I'm like, okay, so you're going to take away property tax, but you're still going to tax the homeowner.
Right.
So
that's what I don't get. That is not going to happen. Okay. Anybody who wants that to happen is nuts, because you're killing us. You're going through all this trouble, and then what's going to happen is they're just going to build up these the RETA tax will be insane, and they'll be using that for the schools and for the parks and the recs and everything. The only way this works is if we abolish the property taxes, that the state then takes over the schools. That's what we need. That is what will solve this problem.
Joe, we've been looking at the schools, and a lot of people say, "Well, how are we going to replace the money for the schools and everything else?" And I'm dollar for dollar, and I'm making the statement. I'm not sure it really should be placed dollar for dollar. When I take a look at the results of the public schools, and we have some statistics here that are, in
pretty
math
nasty.
Proficiency, 53.5% of grades 4 through 7. Are proficient in math, 53.7.
Now, what school district? Is this statewide or is this?
This is statewide. This is the average for the statewide. Right. And then reading for the third grade level, I believe it is, 64.5% proficiency. When I went to school, that was a D. Under 70% and under.
Can I cut in a little bit on that too? I got a letter to my box at the State House that the state came after one of our private charter schools because they weren't using the curriculum that they wanted them to use, yet their reading proficiency was 97%. And so that really kind of ticks me off, right, to hear that, Brian, because it's everything is wrong unless you're public school. But performance shows that is not working for all children. So right. You can't, the facts don't lie, right? Oh my gosh, that just, you guys, I'm going to have to take blood pressure medicine by the time I'm done.
All right, let me just show this one more time here. So this is the website we have up on here right now. So you could go to AXOH Tax. And then they've got these headings up here. So click on petition. Just click on petition and then look at quick petition download. So click on that. And now it looks like you're given instructions. So if anybody is confused about anything, read these instructions. Let me just see if I can increase the size of this a little bit. Okay. So here we go. Now, Brian Massey, who is on our podcast right now. Here is where you would mail it back to. We got to make that bigger. You got to make that like king size. Brian Massey, 8600 Tyler Boulevard, Unit 150. It's a P.O. Box, Menor, Ohio 44061. So you would mail it back to him, and he has got envelopes in his basement. Big.
Yeah, we've got a crack team of people that are processing the petitions, and we're asking everybody to, when they get a complete package, to mail it in so that we're not bombarded by December 1st, with 500,000 packets.
That's right.
And here's an image right here of how to fill it out. And a lot of people have filled these out in the past. It's not difficult. This guy's name is George Washington. See, you got George. You got big GW on our side. We have nothing to worry about. And then we go down to the circulator here. Okay, you print the name first and last. Lots of space up there of the person. Street, address, city. They got to sign it. That's the most important. Make sure they're signing it like they do when they vote. And then put in the correct date of signing. Get as many as you can, then get them back to Brian as fast as you can, because you don't want to lose them, and you can always get another packet and send it in.
Leonard and I are going to work on a video this week for the circulators. Although we've got detailed instructions, many of those instructions are still not being followed. So we'd like to we'll do an actual 5-minute video to further explain, for the people. And believe it or not, though, we're getting it virtually every day. Leonard and I are getting inundated with requests to sign the petition. And what's really sad, a lot of these people cannot get out of their homes. So we're trying to find somebody. If I've got somebody in Lake County, I'm going to their house to have them sign if they can't come out.
Or they're going to have to hand it off to somebody and have it mail them in. But these are very important. They got to get mailed in. You can't be running all over to the state to get those things. But
that's right.
We need 420,000 of them. You can't be going to everybody's home. Oh, maybe you can. Right. That would be dedication. Yeah. All right, let me just finish this up real fast. I got to get back to Jennifer here. But this is from that same article that 41,000 homeowners in Cuyahoga County are delinquent. And this was a month ago, and now they're delinquent again twice. It says one Cuyahoga County resident, Michelle Miller, contacted Cleveland 13 News, and she was raising concerns about the delays in the county's property tax appeal process. Think about that now. Miller said that she submitted her appeal before the March 2025 deadline, along with all the supporting documentation needed, but has not received a response yet. Now think about that a minute. So she did it before March. So she did it in February. So February, March, April, May, June, July. That's 5 months already, because this article was from July. So that's 5 months already. It's just collecting dust. No one has gotten back to her. Think about how discouraging that is.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And then she warned the counties handling the property tax hikes could destabilize neighborhoods and incentivize opportunistic property acquisition people and developers, like that guy you see on that billboard sign everywhere. I don't know about you guys, but here in Cleveland, he's on every single billboard now. That one guy, very shiesty-looking character. He always has a big wad of money in his hand, and he's like, I want to buy your house now. Cash on the spot. But he's going to give you pennies to the dollar, and you're going to get ripped off, and it's terrible. And for him to be having his face on all of those billboard signs means he's doing pretty good business. That's what that means.
Jennifer, right. you weren't invited, Jennifer, were you, to be on the on Governor DeWine's committee, the new committee?
Were you? Wait, no. Did he ask you to join his tax group?
No, and Tex Fisher and I are the only two that said that we stood with you guys. But Bill Seitz got on there. I'm sure we're in good hands, since he since he lobbies for, I believe it's a political entity for sure that has vested interest in maintaining taxes and increasing them. It amazes me.
Jeez.
It just amazes me. And,
Oh
I was
man.
reading DeWine's comment. His comment was the schools would go unfunded. And, it's interesting that he says that, but the fact of the matter is, what is he, 73 or 8? Or, I mean, like, has he no compassion toward the elderly people that have paid into these schools and paid into these communities and raised their children? And he vetoed every single, albeit limp-wristed perhaps, attempt that we made in the budget to help people. It's just amazing to me, that he has such, it would seem, lack of compassion toward those who have contributed well to the communities they live in. So
I want to make a point here. Let's talk about this for a minute. Well, let's go into the whole scheme here for a minute about what happened with the vetoes, okay?
yes.
If you want to just give us a personal story on that from a state rep's perspective and what it all entailed and everything. But just to give the background on this, that wasn't, how long ago was that? Last month or something? I don't even remember. But
So we're required to pass the budget by June 30th on the first year of a General Assembly. So it was the last week of June we passed the budget, at which point the governor has 10 days to either let it pass, sign it, or veto. So he's able only, this is educational for people, when there's money attached to any piece of legislation, not just the budget, the governor can line item veto. So if there's any appropriation, that's called money appropriation, money is put into that bill, then the governor can line item any part of that bill. The governor line item vetoed 67 items in the over 5,000 page budget. And one of those had to do with PBMs. We will not overturn that one because it was a good veto. There were 66 others, and I believe there's another one that we won't overturn. And I don't remember what that was. But there were 65 that need to be overturned. These are good, solid policy that needs to be overturned. The speaker said they had not had any indication from the governor that he was going to veto that many line items in the budget. And so we came back. We got called. I'm going to give you the inside baseball. I was called by leadership, some people that were not going to call back if they were not willing to come to overturn the veto for whatever reason. Those people got special attention, shall we say, from the teacher, meaning the speaker. And they got called by the speaker himself and encouraged very, very strongly to show up for the people of Ohio. There were still some who did not show up to overturn the veto. However, we were able to overturn one veto, one. And so that has to do with property tax, and it has to do
But you,
with,
you only overturned one, Jennifer, because that's all you had the votes for, correct?
Correct. So a little bit of education as well. In order to pass a bill in the state, it takes 50 votes. And so 50 passes a bill. But when it's a veto override, it requires 60 votes. We have 65 Republicans. Diane Mullins, who had a serious medical event, and really it took a lot to get her there. She needed support. She needed assistance. She was able to get there. She was able to show up, but we still had Republicans who did not show up. And we did not have 60 votes for the other 4 issues related to property tax. So remember that we passed this big bill. And so a lot of legislators are willing to hold their nose and not vote for, and I'm saying this facetiously, because the reason I voted for the budget was property tax reform. And there are a lot of rhinos that don't want some of the things that are there. And now they have to come back and vote for it as the item that is property tax, and they don't want it.
Yeah, let me just state that a second here, because in case people miss it. But that is such a good point, because what you did, and people and lawmakers like you had a lot of things in that bill that they didn't like, but the property tax reform bills, you were willing to hold your nose on some of those bills so that the property tax
600
ones.
million? 600 million was the reason not to vote for that bill.
Okay, yeah, the Browns stadium.
Right.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. But just to finish that thought real quick, so you were willing to hold your nose on some of those lousy bills so that the property tax bills would be successful because they already passed the House and the Ohio Senate. DeWine just has to sign his name, and they all become law. And what he did was he vetoed them. He said, no. And so then not only did you have to hold your nose on some of those bills you didn't like, the ones you did like, some of them got vetoed.
He vetoed every reason. I mean, we lost the Joint Medicaid Oversight Committee, which is the Doge, if you will, over the state Medicaid budget, which is 51% of our spend. And it's like, so the one oversight that we had in the budget, he did away with that. He didn't like oversight of Medicaid. So he did away with the Joint Medicaid Oversight Committee and the director and her staff and everything. And so then we lost property tax reform. So what did the people get? Well, I could use a bad word, but I would say mostly the people got screwed. I mean,
bupkis.
No,
I
Jennifer,
just, so angry and so frustrating.
I'm starting to think that who's driving the bus? I'm not sure it's the legislators. I think it's the public unions, and I'm making the statement that through the lens that I look at, I think that the public sector has outgrown the private sector's ability.
And lobbyists, Brian. Lobbyists run Columbus. The majority of legislators, they brag about all these bills they pass. Someone local down here does this exact same thing. Doesn't even know his bills, can't talk to him when we have public meetings, and yet brags about all the bills he's passed. Well, the fact of the matter is, lobbyists write the bills. They get money for writing the bills because someone rich gives them money to lobby for their issue. And then they write the bill. They get it in the budget. They all win and they're all happy. Rural hospitals are not happy. They also got the shaft with this budget. And so, it's like too long for this podcast tonight, but
that's why we've got this movement of abolishing property taxes, because people have said enough is enough. No one's looking out for the average taxpayer.
My prosecutor,
except
Brian,
for Jennifer.
said the people are ready to commit suicide when it comes to property tax. I don't like to use those kind of words particularly, but I would rephrase it and say, we are finally at the fever pitch where the people are taking an axe to the Ohio tax. They're axing the tax because they don't know what else to do. Is it ideal? No, but they've waited. You have patiently waited for the legislature to make change. I have some colleagues who are going to drop some bills and the Taxpayer Bill of Rights and all this kind of stuff, but it takes time to get it through the Senate. The legislative process is slow in Ohio. We can't pass a bill in a day like Colorado, and no, Colorado is terrible, but there are other states like Louisiana, they pass bills in 3 weeks and they move them out and they make law. It takes us a year to get this done, or you have to do an emergency clause. And remember, Butler County, my county has revaluation in January. It's too late. It's too late for 1/3 of the counties. And that is why the people have now stepped up and had to do. We're a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And I would encourage every Ohioan, and even if you're not an Ohioan listening to this podcast, it is your job to watch your legislator know their votes. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. Are they on this podcast? Are they standing with Tex Fisher and me? Representative Tex Fisher and I are the only two who have verbally come out and said, all right, we're going to support the people. Who else is out there? I know one in Cincinnati who refuses to support the people. And yet that individual is in a 73% Republican district. The people are angry.
I agree completely. In fact, I spoke to a couple of legislators last week, and they said to me, well, Brian, we agree with you, but we can't come out and publicly support you. And I said,
Why?
what
Why?
does that mean? I said, because what we're going to do is we're going to judge you by your fruits, not by your words. We're going to
Brian,
judge you by your
when,
actions.
Brian, when they got elected, did they have primaries? Did they fight tooth and nail to get to the legislature? Where is that fight for the people? I would argue, and I love my congressman, Warren Davidson. And I was talking to one of his legislative aide, and you know what he said to me? He said, don't be discouraged if you don't get bills passed. I mean, we do if they're bills like this, but understand that our job is to what? What is our title? Representative. In Ohio, we are called representatives. We are to represent the people. And the reason I'm so passionate about this issue is that I have listened to the people who are writing my box. I am listening to the people in my town halls. I am reading what they're saying. And the number one issue in Ohio for every single taxpayer is property tax reform.
Yeah, that's number one. Number one. All right, Ken, put that up there in a second. Okay, Amy Campbell, tax ease out of Texas, came in, paid my delinquent taxes, and 3 years later contacts me with a payment plan which I could not afford. Now my house is being auctioned at a sheriff's sale. I guess she's out of Texas. But here's the thing. Their easy payment plan is, instead of paying every 6 months, pay every month. That's your easy payment plan. Like you really have the money to do that. All right, Jonathan Broadbent's got something to say. He's not with us tonight. But he is saying something. He says, I'm away for the episode, but tuned in. Keep up the good work, everyone. Let's see, what else does he have to say here? Turn up the pressure. Ohio's tax system is a nightmare. Time to fix it. Got it.
Amen.
All right, good. All right, let's I want you to finish up. First of all, finish up your story that now with the whole idea with that override. Like, just give me a little background. For a minute or two. Like, what was the feel in the room? You go in there. Did you think you had the votes? What was the feel and stuff like that?
So the speaker was standing at the podium. We were over in the Senate side because the House was getting some work done in our chamber. And the speaker was waiting and waiting for the votes. I mean, I think there was a moment when he wasn't sure we were going to have the votes. We ended up with 61 votes. We could have overridden it with 60. I will tell you that overriding this governor has been one of the most exciting things that I've done as a legislator in the 5 years, because we overrode him during COVID with SB 22. We overrode him with the SAFE Act because he vetoed our transgender bill. We were able to override him. Overriding him is exciting because it's like the one time when all 60 of us together form a unit. This is the way the government's supposed to work. And we actually thrive and represent, and we do what is right for the people when we override this governor. Now, I would love a day when we have a governor that shows up in our chamber and we're like, hand in glove, and we are actually serving the people, and we're doing what needs to be done to reform our schools and reform our education system and lower our taxes and decrease our spending and Doge Ohio. But those days have not happened in my tenure so far in the legislature. And DeWine has 2 more years. So
that's a good point. That is a good point, yeah. Jennifer. I keep forgetting. We got him for 2 more years. Yeah. I keep thinking he's like, at the end of the year, he's out. We're pushing him out the door. We just kind of give him a swift kick. Half, Get out of here already.
Yeah, he's got 1.5 more years.
Yeah, right? You're looking at, by the way, okay, here's Ramaswamy in front. We've got Tressel. Now, these guys were all vying for Governor DeWine's place. Governor DeWine is back there, But at one time, we had all these guys. Well, maybe we still do. It's early. You could still get back in the race. Yost could get back in. We don't know about Tressel. He might decide to do it.
He might, but I just don't.
It would be.
People like him. He's a nice guy, but
it's too late. The train has come and it's gone. And besides, Vivek has $29 million already, okay? So nobody else is going to get into it. Sandy Llewellyn, Amy, that's right. In Ohio, they sell off bad debt delinquent taxes. She's talking to the lady who was on just before. I live in Ohio. When you call them, you get a customer service. Oh, yeah, in India. Good point. Good point. So Tax E's out of Texas. She's in Ohio. She's taking advantage of it. She's in Tuscarora County. But, yeah, you call to get tax relief, and the person's from India. And they don't even know the language very well. It is so irritating when you get those messages from those Indians.
We also have people that are working for our Medicaid system that's in India. We just found that out in the last couple of months, too. So that's troublesome. We should not have state jobs going overseas.
We need the jobs.
100%.
Keep them here. All right, let me just ask,
Hey,
talk
Joe,
about this a minute. Yeah, what's up,
Can I
Brian?
interject that we did try to reach out to Vivek Ramaswamy because he wants to eliminate the income tax and curb or level off the property taxes, and we'd like to speak to his group, but just like Matt Huffman, no one has responded to us yet. So they continue to ignore the average citizens at their peril.
Well, keep it up, though. It is gaining traction, and I think it's just a matter of time before Ramaswamy comes around. Matches 10 says, there's a reason Sherrod Brown chose to run for Senate again and not to go against the Ramaswamy buzzsaw. Yeah, because anybody who goes against him is going to just get crushed. Thoughts on Amy Acton as a Democrat candidate? Yeah, the thought is... the thought is this: the Democratic Party is right now trying to get her out. Okay, that's the thought on Amy Acton. I would love for Amy Acton to go the full distance. I would love if she, but they want to bring Tim Ryan in. That is what the Democrats are trying to do now. They want to bring Tim Ryan in, and they want Amy to just go with DeWine, maybe just ride off into the sunset together. Where's my horse? This guy is coming to the rescue. Never forget it, okay? He is coming to the rescue. But that's all I have to say about Amy Acton. I mean, the Democratic Party really isn't behind her. She's got some money. I think she built up $1 million in donations and stuff, but if she stays on, it's beautiful. Life is wonderful, okay?
Yeah.
If she stays on. Let me just read something here. I want to get back to the property taxes here a minute. So this is from WSYX-TV 6 out of Columbus. And what they're talking about here is pay raises now. Brian, you're going to love this. The union has offered pay increases now to the school system in Columbus, the biggest school system there is in our state. So education union members overwhelmingly passed a new 3-year contract with Columbus City Schools just 10 days before they have to return to school. So I know everybody's wiping their eyebrow and saying, whew, because they beat the deadline by 10 days. They were threatening to go on strike. They were threatening to go on strike, which is the school year. This is how much they care about these kids. They want another pay increase, and they're going to start the school year off striking if they don't get their way.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Members voted overwhelmingly to ratify a new 3-year contract, which represents 5,000 teachers, librarians, nurses, counselors. See, that's what we also forget. When we say a pay increase, you got the psychologists, you got the nurses, you got all these people that work for the school system. Okay? It's never ending. The contract is a 2.25% increase for the first year, and then they will bargain for the second year, and they will do bargaining for the third year. One other thing, they did this back just 3 years ago. They did this 3 years ago. They did a strike right at the beginning of the school year, and that was for 4% increase raises for each of the 3 years, which they got. 4%, 4%, 4%.
Oh, my gosh. So they got 16%, Joe?
Well, they got 4% and then another 4% on top of that the next year, and then 4%
more?
or whatever that is on top of that.
So they got 16%. Do you guys get raises like that in 3 years? 16%?
No. Heck no. Are you kidding me? Nobody does. Nobody
Only
does
on the
except the
taxpayer dime.
the teachers and all of them, administrators and everybody associated with these school systems. Listen to some of the things they were bargaining for in 2022. They wanted improvements on the building. They wanted spaces that were climate controlled. They wanted smaller class sizes so they could hire more teachers. And they wanted innovative paid leave benefits. That was some of the stuff in 2020.
I mean, they already have paid leave benefits. So what
they got
is
like a
innovative?
3-month paid leave benefit, don't they?
You know, Brian, can I just say, when I first came into the legislature 5 years ago, I haven't looked recently, but the ODE priorities, they had 10 priorities. I think it was like steps, and like students were number 7 priority at the ODE. I mean, maybe
I thought that would be number
then,
1.
but I was just shocked.
You're right, though. When you look at the CUP report, Jennifer, when you look at the CUP report, Brian, you're going to vouch for this. 80 to 84% on the CUP report goes for salaries. When you pass a new levy, 84% of that is just going for salaries increases.
Well,
and like 6% is for their students' materials. You got a CUP report in front of you?
Yeah, well, I've got the, I do have it. I have the average, this is for all school districts, statewide average. The total revenue per pupil is $18,167. That's just the average. And Joe, in your Cleveland Heights school district, it's $28,559.
$28,000 per kid, and we have such horrible. In
Columbus, it's $25,600. That's the revenue from all their sources. And you asked me for a percentage. I think the percentage for the teacher's salary. Let's see, what was it on average here?
That's per pupil,
it's
25 in Cleveland Heights per pupil, 28,000.
Yeah, salaries on average for the average school district 55%, and for the fringe benefits it's 23%. So you've got 78. You got 80% basically for
80% on average. So 80% of the revenue is going for those salaries. Now I know in Cleveland Heights, because I looked at the CUP report. For Cleveland Heights, it was 84. So some of them are higher than 80. That's the average.
Yes.
84%. Right. And our levies pass all the time. What do you think of them apples? Are the legislators in your 99 state reps, are they aware of this stuff? Some of them are, but...
Well, yes. And you know what? Some schools have, and I don't know the term, Josh Williams has spoken about it to me in the past, but some schools get paid for empty seats. So they are not schooling these kids. But I have to ask you, I don't remember what our exact number is today, somewhere between 9 and 11,000 in Westchester per student, just so you know. So the difference in the suburbs, who pay a lot towards the schools, and what you guys are what we get per student, and what they're paying in Columbus or Cleveland, how much money? I mean, and the test scores are not better.
Oh, they're horrible.
I would tell you,
Cleveland
and I
Heights
posted about this. I posted a statement about this with Corey DeAngelis, but who's a pro-ed choice guy that's all over Twitter. And I would say to you, I don't think there's any amount of money that you can throw at students to make it work. A child needs to be educated in the best place for that individual child. It can't be a one size fits all. And these numbers show that, because Lakota is like 9 or 11,000 per student. And then it's 28,000 in these other places. I mean, like,
but it gets worse than that.
It's not
it gets
a
worse.
one size fits all, but geez.
Yeah, I think Cleveland, it's even higher than that. They have one of the highest. But listen to this for a minute.
Yeah, East Cleveland was over 40.
East
Cleveland was over 40.
Which one?
East Cleveland.
East Cleveland, which is the absolute worst school system in the entire state. But they're receiving the most money per student. $40,000 to educate a kid in East Cleveland. These kids cannot read or write when they graduate. But here's the point. The point is, you're not spending $40,000 for 1 year. You're spending it for 13. And if they fail, it's 14 or 15. So like in Cleveland Heights, for one student, now you tell me this is really using our money well. Our tax dollars are really being put to good use here. For one student who goes through Cleveland Heights for 13 years, it costs $364,000 to educate them. One kid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. How do you like them apples?
Yikes.
Let me see hang on a second. Let's see what this says here. I want to keep the chat people with us because that helps with the algorithm, and we want people contributing to this.
That's right.
Has DeWine been bought by the private sector? This is something I guarantee Ohioans don't know, is our state jobs are going to India with great benefits. Gone. How is it possible our jobs go to India? This needs to be published. We bring in thousands of migrants and pay Medicaid, and they get low wages instead of paying Americans. No wonder he needs more tax money. I don't see hardly any politicians in Ohio trying to get anything done with Trump in office. It seems most politicians are way too comfortable. This is unbelievable news I'm hearing, and I'm already knew things were bad. And I know one other thing, too, that, yeah, there are jobs going to India, and then the Chillicothe incident where they lost that paper mill. I know that made a lot of headlines, and some of the politicians got out there and cried and said what a horrible thing, but nothing's been done about it,
Right.
Yeah, Joe, I've also got something to add in that. What I was told when talking to the Patriots in Licking County with that Intel move coming in supposedly and buying up farmland, all that did was jack up the value of the homes, and all the people in that surrounding area, they're all impacted. So their property values went up and their property taxes went up, but they're not benefiting it at all.
No, the whole thing is horrible. But I'll say one thing about Intel, and Jennifer, you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, but they may not even get that built. They put it on hold, and the reason is because of AI. This is what I've been hearing. Mm-hmm. The chip manufacturers are becoming obsolete. AI, and I'll tell you what else could be obsolete in 4 years or less, is Google. Because you don't need Google anymore. I mean, I've been using Grok. That's the AI with
with Twitter.
With Twitter. And who is that? Elon Musk's. And I like it better than Chat, but Chat is really good too. It doesn't matter which one. But all you got to do is ask it a question. It will scan and give you an answer, and it'll show you all the websites that it scanned. So you could actually go to those websites and click on them if you want to, but it just just summarizes everything to you like that. It's quite amazing. But once they perfect it, and it's close to being perfected, you don't even need Google anymore. Isn't that amazing? That whole search engine.
So,
you really don't need it.
So that's one regret that I do have. We voted to give, I believe it was like $2.4 billion to, I guess, in tax rebates and things like that to Intel. When I look back, I wish I had voted differently. It was in the capital budget, but I guess in my defense, that was during COVID, and I think you guys remember we had a chip shortage, and so we were struggling, like even in my own county, to get a chip for a fire truck and some issues. And I thought, and they said that Intel would be the American chip producer, and then gradually become the number one chip producer in the world.
Right.
And so that is how they sold it to us, and so. I thought, we can't survive without chips. We wouldn't be on this podcast without chips because our computers have them, our cell phones have them, our cars have them. I mean, and so, but now to see that Intel is struggling is really a concern for Ohio. However, I'm praying still that they do somehow salvage their business and bring it to fruition. So. I think that
Jennifer,
time will tell.
I do have another question for you, if I may, regarding the property tax. We're talking to a couple of developers, and they said, well, Brian, we can't support this movement because we're relying on the TIFs. So all these developers are getting the taxpayer incremental, financing, which is really the payment of the property taxes that would normally go to the schools are going to the developers. And I
That's
understand
right. So
it's
who's
not just
paying,
Lake County;
Ryan?
it's all over the state.
So
It's
who's
huge.
paying for TIFs? Who pays for the TIFs?
I beg your pardon?
We do. I mean,
Yeah,
the
we do.
community does,
Yeah,
right? I
right.
mean, we
Right.
have to pick up that. And so they look at it as business. So that balance between business coming into a community and then the taxpayer and the homeowners softening that, making it a deal for the business to come in to provide jobs, someone still has to pay. And so I understand what they're saying, but we do have, I mean, a lot of people don't look Jobs Ohio, but they do give grants and things, and that is money that comes from the, spirits and all that kind of stuff. But Jobs Ohio will claw back money from businesses if those businesses don't follow through with the contract that they committed to a grant that is state tax dollars going into their grant. So, and I may not have their funding exact, and I know a lot of people don't like Jobs Ohio, but the fact of the matter is that is another arm that can attract business, and it's Jobs Ohio that attracted Andrel and Honda and a lot of that. So
Yeah, I'm surprised that the lobbyists or the groups for the farmers aren't stepping up. I haven't
yeah,
heard of anyone stepping up, to help the farmers that may be losing their farms and something that's been
that's
in
right.
their families for
That's right.
generations.
That's right. I'll have to talk to my
Um,
farm bureau. We haven't spoken about it, and I just met with them a few weeks ago. We've been on, as you know, we have break July and August. I haven't technically been on break. I've really been doing a lot, even though we are on break. But we come back in September, and I believe we have a session second or third week in September. But I. I'm not convinced that every law we pass is always good for Ohio. So I don't know what's on the agenda, but
Let me ask
um,
you a question, Jennifer. So when you guys are going to come back in September, what is what's the structure after that? Because I know you got the holidays coming in a few months. So do you get anything done? And what is this? What is
well,
the structure until the end of the year?
I would say, guys, that now is the time that your legislator is or has already pulled petition to run for their next term. So now is the time. We are in that window where legislators are beginning to pull petition and get signatures to run. And you need to look at your legislator and you need to say, have they warranted a re-evaluation, not a valuation, a re-evaluation? If they've been they've been your legislator before, do they deserve to be repeat business customers of yours? Because your vote will elect them again. And are they standing? I would argue that you should go to this legislator and you should say, are you standing for property tax reform? And don't let them weasel out of it and say, well, I voted for the budget. And then if they do, you need to say, oh, well, are you going to be one of the 60 votes to overturn property tax? I mean, we need to do it all. We need to be doing it all. And so I've got legislator colleagues who are dropping the Taxpayer Bill of Rights and some other things. But the fact of the matter is, are we not a day late and a dollar short? Are we not at the 13th hour? And I would be pounding on those legislators and I would be saying, what are you doing? What have you done? What are you doing today? How are you going to help me? And are you going to sign this, make a letter and say, if I will only, I'm going to stand for property tax reform. I will do whatever it takes to help you, whatever it is that you need, if that's your issue. I mean, I'm pro-life,
100% agree.
government, low taxes. I mean, I want it all. But I also own a little property in Tennessee too. And you know how much I pay on 43 and a half acres in Tennessee? $800.
That's the way it should be. $800, 43
$800.
acres. But that's not a
43
small
and a
plot
half
of
acres.
land. That is not a
Yep.
small plot of land.
Now,
That is
Tennessee
not
has
a
a sales
small
tax
plot of
of
land.
9.4%, I don't really want that. But the fact of the matter is, if buying a new coat for winter, you don't need one this year, and you could make do with the one last year because you don't want to pay a higher sales tax, you still have that option. But everybody shares the pain if everybody's paying sales tax. When it's the property owner carrying the brunt of every levy and every of local government and schools, how is it right that now the people moving into all these apartments and all, they just keep raising up? And I really want to talk about this, okay? I have to make sure that your listening audience understands that over 90% of all levies that are placed on the ballot pass. And the message to the legislature when that happens is that really property tax isn't that uncomfortable, because when you vote on a levy, you are voting up your own property tax. So let me just say one more thing. I had a guy say to me, yes, I will sign that, but don't touch the parks and don't touch mental health services. And I'm like, okay, but those are levies in your property tax. So the people that are paying for that are property owners. Nobody else. Property tax. Property tax is levies.
Jennifer, they're getting, you're getting, what happens is everybody gets bamboozled by it. They get arm twisted. A lot of people don't pay attention. They don't realize that. And then it passes. It passes.
I'm not against. I love my parks, and I love that we do elder services and mental health. It isn't about that, but it can't be, don't touch my area, don't change this, don't change that. I mean, right. There's going to be pain across the board, and so we're going to have to figure out, it's not that we're not going to fund police and fire. We aren't going to all of a sudden, and I want to talk to you about that, Brian, because people are like, the argument is, well, we're not going to have police and fire. Well, that's not going to happen. But here's the thing, Brian, I want you, if you don't mind, Joe, me kind of taking this little avenue. But Brian, people say to me, if the legislature does not decrease spending and we keep spending, but we abolish property tax, are we not just as bad off? How do you answer that question?
Yeah, what I've said locally, even to our local township administrator, and he asked me the same thing. How am I going to pay for police, fire, roads, and bridges? I said, we're not anarchists. We're not. We're still, going to pay our fair share of government
Brian,
services.
Did he say roads and bridges? Did he say we just voted in the last election for, what was it, $1 billion, $2 billion? Do you remember that extra little thing that we voted? They said it was roads and bridges. We need that for roads and bridges, and then we have local. No. What about the legislature? What does the legislature need to do so that we can make this work? Do we need to decrease our spending?
What they need to do is they need to up the local government funds that were cut drastically by Kasich and and others. Great. And what they've done is they forced the local taxation to continue to increase to pay for those shortages that used to be paid by the state. So I'm saying that I want to know. I'm paying right now $2,100 to the Concord Township, and I'm saying to them, instead of just one bill for all the services, I want to know how much I'm paying for police, for fire, for the roads, and any other services you're providing. I will pay for those. You can send me a bill. It just can't be tied to my house. What the legislators don't seem to understand, and many people don't, the average citizen don't understand, home ownership is the foundation of our freedom and liberty. It allows families to get out of poverty by transferring from one generation to the next. I want to know if I'm paying $500 a year for my fire services and the next township over, they're only paying $100. I'm going to ask the question, why? Are you being good stewards of our money? So rather than lumping everything together, transparency is the key to good governance so that people can hold everybody accountable. Now, if I don't pay my bill, then you file some sort of lien on my house, but you can't foreclose on my house. That's what I'm trying to get across, that this is my home. I want the government out of it.
government spending too, though. I mean, I think that in some places we can do a little bit better with transparency on spend, like exorbitantly, amazingly beautiful roundabouts. I mean, isn't like a couple of pine trees and a few rocks okay? Why do we need to have a trail through the roundabout and flowers that need to be? I mean, that is cost to the taxpayer.
Absolutely.
In a local government fund. I am seeing some of the most beautiful roundabouts all over my area, and all I can think about is, okay, I think that we could tone it down a little. It would still look nice, but I don't think we need to have Cadillac roundabouts. When I see stuff like that, and I see that, to me is waste. We need
But Jennifer,
yeah.
The other thing that you've got to remember, I know you know this, so pardon me if I sound like I'm
It's okay.
saying something that you don't know. I know you know this, but the property taxes is the most expensive tax to administer. And, I was chastised by the local officials here. Brian, if you eliminate the property taxes, you won't need an auditor or a treasurer. And my response was, well, that's a start anyway. But we paid $1.8 million to a third-party appraiser in Lake County. That third-party appraiser, when we asked for the calculations, how did you determine the valuation of a given piece of property? And we were told, we can't give you that. That's all proprietary information. And I'm saying, now, wait a minute. You're using taxpayer dollars to pay a third party that is controlling our destiny but is not accountable to the people. That is wrong. We had a Tea Party way back when on that very point. They should be responsible. So if you imagine, if we don't have any property taxes, why would the state even be worried about valuation of properties? It wouldn't be necessary.
And I want to throw in a quick tidbit here too. It's a scam, in my opinion. They figure out how much money they need, and then they raise the parcel of homeowners' lands appropriately to pay for all of these different entities for the cost of living increase. So there isn't really any kind of a system that they go by. This is the number you got to reach. Now raise everybody's property appropriately so you hit this number.
Yeah, and then when you couple that with the massive accumulation of cash reserves that the schools got, I understand, $10 billion in cash reserves, over 600 school districts, and the state's only got $4 billion, I understand. And then when you look at the individual, I'm talking about Lake County, the individual taxing authorities that accumulate cash, I said, you can't keep taking the money out of the taxpayers' hands. That money needs to be in their hands so that they can spend the money to keep the local economy going. But as Ron Young says, the two top priorities of government is to protect itself and grow. And that's what has happened. And
at least he's honest. That's the first time you've heard an honest politician.
Well, but I'm sure naive, but I actually ran to represent my district. I am pro-life, so I'm going to stand for babies and I'm going to stand for life. But my number one issue in my district right now is property tax reform. And I'm not the expert of all things, but we can work together and we can do this. And there isn't the will, if we can't override 5 vetoes on property tax, then there isn't the will in the representation of the people. I am 100%. A representative of the people. I need 59 colleagues and or 49 colleagues to pass legislation, and then the Senate as well, to do this. And it's not happening. And so I have to say, the majority seems to be tone deaf. I pray the speaker will meet with you. He can be extremely diplomatic. And I wish, when he asked me why I voted against the House version of the budget, I told him because there was no property tax reform. And, he was very put out with me. But the second time I voted for it, and like we know, held my nose because of property tax reform. It wasn't the best budget. It hurt JMOC, the Joint Medicaid Oversight Committee, but I did it for the people that I represent, and the people are hurting, and I feel them hurting. And I'm a middle class Ohioan. I pay my taxes too, and it isn't. Right. It's not nice. It's terrible. And I like what one of your commenters said. They I don't know if you read it, but they said we pay rent to the Ohio government. It's true, because if I own my house, I'm paying $500 a month in tax in order to stay in my house. And if I don't, like we heard from the lady that said that they're coming to put her house up on a sheriff's sale, because she doesn't pay her taxes, now she's going to have to lose her home. I mean,
it makes no sense, and that's why we've been fighting it. It makes no sense, and people are starting to see the light finally. And then you saw about how the Columbus School District is going for another pay increase, and it just a few weeks ago they were saying they didn't have any money. I thought I read that article that they were broke. They're always broke.
Let me answer Amy here. Amy says you give companies tax breaks while Ohioans struggle or can't pay their taxes in their It isn't just the legislature. It is the legislature, like with the Intel situation. But locally, TIFs are decided by the local government. So that doesn't come from the legislature. Those businesses that come in, and those TIFs are decided by your city council or your township trustees. So learning about TIFs and JEDs and all those kinds of things is really important. And again, our taxing districts, we have too many of those. I love what you were saying, Brian, about, we need to consolidate services. We need to consolidate. And I think, is there not a vested interest if some positions are going to be lost? Is there not a vested interest in those positions to preserve themselves, like you said, with government? So Government wants to preserve itself. Hey, if you guys want to run a bill or a constitutional amendment that lowers your legislator to 6 months or 5 months instead of 10 and makes it so we don't get a salary and we get no benefits, let's go. I'm okay with that.
Jennifer, we appreciate it. We really do appreciate you being on and being honest and forthright with us.
Sandy, Sandy just talked about funding. Do you guys need money for this?
Yes.
They desperately need that. Wait a minute. They desperately need money. People have got to step forward for this whole movement. I mean, you need 420,000 signatures. Brian is his pockets are bare. He's doing a lion's share of the work, and I'm going to have to start getting involved in helping him more. But he's literally got his basement. That is command center right now. His basement. He's got a nice big basement. I got to admit.
Joe, we've been trying to keep that on the down low. We don't want the house blowing up.
Too bad.
Brian, do you have a donate link on your? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. We've talked about that. And we'll do a better job of on the website of getting the donate button, and
I'm sorry,
if they want to
Amy.
mail in a check. And that sort
I don't
of
know, Amy, but Amy, I'm so sorry. I hear you.
And she's living out of her car. So it says, "I will stay homeless." Oh no! It says, "I will stay homeless before I pay any more taxes. Enough I pay for my vehicle and food." Yeah. But I'm telling you right now. Here's the point, and I want to leave with this point. And that is that there is a lot of hurting people out there. And that's why I wanted to start the show with that one lady you had and a couple of them. Brian knows a lot. He's heard a lot of horror stories, and it's going to continue. And so these property taxes are not just numbers on a sheet of paper from some treasurer. These are families that are being destroyed. Families that are literally being destroyed.
Hey, can I say something too? In all this discussion, my school district is coming with a $500 million levy on the November ballot this year. They just proposed a $500 million levy, and they're going to demolish 10 schools. They're going to. We're supposed to give them
that
money
$500 million. That's got to be a bond issue, right?
Nope, it's going to be on the ballot. The people are absolutely. They are so angry.
No,
that means that that means that the school boards, school officials are tone deaf too to what is going on and around.
And to the taxpayer and the homeowners and my 97-year-old neighbor and my 76-year-old neighbor. I mean, is there no compassion?
No,
Guys,
no,
if
there's none.
If I was queen and we got rid of those, remember? We got rid of those, 1776. But if I was queen, we wouldn't need a petition, Brian.
What would you do?
I understand.
What would
I
you do?
understand.
If
Well,
you were queen.
I would
unfortunately,
find the
Jennifer.
experts and we would make the change that we need to do. And we would do our needs in Ohio budget, not wants. And we would cut needless spending. So.
All right, go to the website,
Okay.
axohtax.com, axohtax.com, axohtax.com.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Jennifer.
Jennifer,
Thank you
thanks
so
a lot.
much.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it. Brian, thank you guys. Everybody
Thank
take
you.
care. Thank you very much.
All right.
And have a good evening.